Hello everyone. I hope you doing good at your end. So today we are going to discuss about the payroll definition, how we can able to create a payroll definition, what are different types of periods are there, and what is the frequency by which we can able to create this payroll definition. So welcome to my channel, Sabasan hai. I covered various topics on this particular channel and make it easy for you to understand in easy way with practical example and with live demo scenarios. So let's start and understanding this particular topic. So before we start, first of all, let's clear some concepts about the payroll, why we required and what all the features and functionalities are required. So if I want to ask a definition or if I want to explain it to you, what is payroll is all about. Okay, now the ultimate goal, the end result of my payroll and defining and configuring the payroll is pay, salary or wages to our employee. Okay, we can pay to our employee, and employee can be of different types. So one category or one I can say employees, my permanent employees. Okay, second, it can be my temporary staff, or it can be any of my contingent employer as well. Now, for contingent employer, we don't go and define a payroll part. We There is a separate setup for doing the payment for the contingent employee. Okay, which I will cover in some other topic. If you want to learn how we can able to establish on the contingent employee, do put a comment, do write a comment in your comment box. I will make another video on the contingent worker. Let's focus on our the regular employees, those who are hired or those who are enrolled to our organization and they are a part of a legal employer. So in this permanent employees also we can classify it at a different level. Different level in the sense that employees are attached to different legal employer. We all know that when we are defining the legal entity, at that placeholder we define a legal employer, and the link between legal employer and legal entity is going to be defined by the LDG. So the first and foremost thing we should know that payroll, when we're defining it, it required a one particular legislative data group. Okay, if you don't know how to create a legislative data group, then put a comment in or comment section. I will show you that how we can able to do it. But I'm assuming it that you having an understanding of legislative data group. I will put a link and description of my channel in this where I am going to showcase about the legal entity. You watch that particular video, which will make a clarity about the legislative and the legal entity part. If you know, if you're not having an awareness on that particular topic. Now, when I talk about the payroll, when I talk about the payroll, we can have a permanent employees. I'm not taking temporary just for a simplicity. Under the permanent employee, we can have a legal employer, or we can say for different BUs also, for the different business units, we want to define a payroll. Now, there can be some scenario where this is no, we want to define up, or we want to run a payroll, or we want to pay a salary for our executive class of employee. Yes, for the executive class of employees and for the normal employees. So now, how they do a definition, like the employees, those who belongs to a grade, some grade level is if I'm defining a grade from 0 to 10 and or from 1 to 10 and 1 to 5 are my executive class. So I want to process the payroll for them separately, and for rest of the people I want to process the payroll separately. Reason is that of the payroll confidentiality, that they don't want to share the salary details to the people those who are managing and admin the payroll. Only the senior manager can run the payroll process for them. So what? So when it comes to payroll in general terms, it's known as a grouping of my employees. Okay, grouping of my employees for whom we are going to pay or we are going to process the salary. Okay, so this is in general. If we know that what exactly we mean by the payroll part, in general, it is known as my that a grouping of an employees to process the salary at the end. So this is we how we can able to understand definition of the payroll. Now, when we define a payroll, we need to create a payroll, and employee will be having a valid payroll relationship. Now, what is this payroll relationship? in one of my chapter, I have explained about the payroll relationship and different types of relationship that exist in an application. Please follow it and likes and subscribe my channel so that you can get an information about the payroll relationship as well. So when I say payroll is just a grouping of our employees. Okay, so make this in mind that this is a group of employees that we are going to define. Now, when we define a payroll, you have seen it when a payroll is processing it, we can give a different link. So, for example, I can define a monthly payroll. Okay, this is most of the countries are using doing the payment in the once in a month, or what I can do, I can do a payment on the weekly basis as well. Depend on your country legislation and depend on your company policy, you can define it. Even you can pay bi-monthly as well. Even you can pay bi-monthly as well. Depend on how you want to process it. Okay. So when it comes for defining the payroll, effective start date is an important aspect in this. Okay, I will explain it to you why it is important. One is the date parameter, or one of the key component that we should understand is about the effective start date. Effective start date is that the date from where my payroll is available. My payroll is available for processing it. Say for example, there is an employee is there. Hire date is say 1st of Jan 2021. But in an organization, we are doing an implementation of the payroll, and they decided that this payroll is going to be get processed from 1st of August 2022. Take this scenario that this is a scenario. Now, what happened is that when I'm configuring the payroll in the system and I says, okay, I want to process the payroll from 1st of August 2022, then we are defining a payroll, then my effective start date will become 1st of August 2022. Now, if I am going to attach the payroll prior to this particular date, this payroll will not be available. So, for example, if I define one payroll call name as a monthly payroll, okay, and my payroll name is monthly payroll, and I say this is going to be available from 1st of August, and in this employee profile, so from where we can do it, either from the payroll relationship when we are doing the person management update, or when we are hiring an employee, at that time we can select the payroll, that what is the payroll name and from which date it's going to available. So if prior to this date I will not able to attach the payroll. Okay, so that is a one scenario where effective start date is important. Another important aspect of this effective start date is that we are in an implementation phase for an organization. We are in an implementation phase in an organization, and we decided that from 1st of August we want to implement the payroll. Correct. So this is what we are coming is that we want to implement the payroll. So payroll implementation date is from 1st of August. That means I want to run my first payroll on 1st of August 2022. But this says no, we want some historical data to be get created. Now, what are the historical data? Maybe I just want to keep a run result of my previous payroll from the legacy application. I want to store in an application in element entries. So in that scenario, my payroll effective start date will not be 1st of August. We need to check with the company or with our client how many months of data you want to keep it in the system. So this is no, we want to keep it for a year or 2 year. My advice and recommendation from the standard best practice: don't go beyond year or so month. Best practice is keep it only for 3 to 4 months. Keep it only best is keep it only for 2 months. That is more than enough to store the data in our payroll module. Otherwise, what alternative you can suggest to them if they are very much keen about the historical data? Tell them that all this data we can store in the cloud application. We will write a dynamic reports. So wherever they want to refer those reports, they can refer it. Okay, but don't import the data for the previous month. It will not make any sense, and then there is a lots of work need to be get required, which is unnecessary. Okay, try to convince your customer that okay, try to import the data only for 1 or 2 months. So if this says, well, I want to store a historical data, then in that scenario what we will do, we just effective start date will get changed from 1st of August, say 2 months, I am saying that 1st of June. Okay, so this will be my effective start date of defining the payroll. So if I'm implementing, my first run is going to happen from 1st of August, then, and we want to keep a historical data, then my effective start date is of 1st of June. So this is more about the effective start date. I believe the effective start date is clear to all of you. If it is not clear, if any questions are there, please put in the comment box. I will try to answer your questions or the queries. See, payroll is a topic that we have to understand in more detail, and whenever we're defining it, reason is most of the configuration that we do in the payroll are irreversible. What does it mean? So if I do certain changes, and if I want to do the changes in the future, it will become a little bit difficult for making the changes. Now there is another important aspect that we have to understand is my first period end date. Now what does it mean? So I decided that effective from 1st of August, I want to implement the payroll. Okay, so this is my effective start date. This is my effective start date, and I want to run my first payroll in an application. First payroll in an application from the month of August. Okay, so my first period, and this is I am going to work on a monthly payroll. Okay, this is my monthly payroll, not a weekly one. I am going to discuss and share about the monthly payroll. If you want to know how we can define other type of payroll for other legislation, do let me know. I will make a one short video for on that as well. So what I decided that okay, I want to run a payroll on the first of for the month of August as my first payroll run. Then my first period ended will be 31st of 2022. I am taking the 2022 as my year. So my first period end date will be 31st of August 2022. Now, if organization decide no, we want to run the payroll somewhere in the effective from September or October, then my for the September it will be 30th of September 2022. So whatever the last day of that particular month is coming for that the period that you are going to run the payroll, the last date of that particular month will be known as my first period end date. And why this date is important? Because from here only we are going to derive certain other factors as well. I will show you in this video itself that what are other certain factors are there. So these two concepts should be very much clear when we are talking about the payroll definition. Then we should know about the concept of the dynamic offset as well as concept about the fixed dates offset. Now, just now we had seen it that a client has decided or organization has decided that effective from 31st of or effective from month of August, we are going to do the payroll run in application. Okay, we are going to run the payroll in an application. So what will be my cutoff date? Okay, what will be my payslip availability date? When will we go my payroll run date? What are my date earned? What are my date paid? And what is the plan submission date? Now these, if you remember it, if you are from the payroll business or if you are a consultant or if you are working in HR, you know it. A payroll we can divide into three stages. Okay, when we are processing the payroll, we can divide the payroll into the three stages. One is for the preparation of the payroll or the validating the policies, that what all policies we have put it. Then the actual running of the payroll, that if I am running of the payroll, and then at the last is my post payroll cycle. Now what happened in this preparation is that whatever the eligibility or whatever the policies are there, based on that system will be get configured. Okay, and then there will be a certain time period where payroll will instruct to the HR department that by one particular date you should provide me all the related information, especially on the non-recurring element. Okay, now those who don't know what are recurring and non-recurring elements, I made one video on this particular part. I am giving my channel link on this description. Please follow and subscribe it to know more about that what are the different types of elements are there. So when payroll person instruct the HR that provide all the information on the non-recurring elements, say for example overtime or incentive allowance or any other hardship allowance are there by certain date, say if my payroll run date is 25th of every month, then what I will ask them that by 20th or 20th of every month. Okay, so for example, if we are in the month of August, that by 20th of August, you should able to provide me all the information. So this particular date, what we are defining, we call this as a cutoff date. We call this as a cutoff date in the application. Okay, so this is my, from the system point of view, this I am calling as a cutoff date. Similarly, there are different dates are there that I will explain it in the next slide. But yes, as of now, consider that on the regular basis, I want to get this information. So in this scenario, if a payroll is asking from the HR that I want to give me all the information, then that particular date we call this as a cutoff date. Now, this cutoff date, what I am saying is it can vary from month to month. So suppose, for example, if I am in the month of Jan, now we know that month of Jan is of 31 days. So, and my payroll run date is somewhere on 24th or 25th of that particular month, then it can be become my 20th of every month. You should provide me data. If I am in the month of Feb, then this date of instead 20th, it may vary to 18th of that particular month. If I am in the month of April, then this date may vary to 19th of April. So what happened is that this the date which we are deciding on the cutoff date is a variable date. Okay, variable date. So how we can make that date variable? By selecting the dynamic offsets. By selecting the dynamic offset. Correct. So this is the way we can able to choose that whether we want the cutoff date and any other relevant dates in an application when defining the payroll. How we can select it? Always choose a dynamic state. Now, I was explaining about that the three stages of the payroll. One stage is that collecting and policies and identifying the data. Second step is running of my payroll, that I am running a payroll. Now, payroll run cannot happen in a single day. Why? Because there can be certain errors will be there. There are some corrections will be there. There are some formula error will be there. There are some adjustment will be there. So normally what happen? Payroll runs happen iterative cycle, which means a payroll manager or the payroll administrator may go and run the payroll multiple times. So maybe it can be run one time, two times, three times, until unless the results does not match or does not tally. Okay. So for finding out, there are other dates are there, which I will explain it to you. Then there is offset dates are there, plan processes dates are there. So to achieve those dates, we define the dynamic offset or the fixed date. Now, what is a dynamic offset? I mentioned it that if these dates are getting vary month by month basis, then I will select an option of dynamic offset. So if my dates are variable, okay, if my dates are which dates? Cutoff date, date earned, payroll run date, and so far and so on. If these dates are in variable, which is not fixed in each particular month, then we choose the option of a dynamic offset. I will show you in the application also what I mean. Now, if I am very much sure that by every month of 20th of every month, there will be my cutoff date. Okay, and by every 25th of every month I am going to process the payroll. If my organization is 100% sure and the payroll manager is 100% sure, then in that scenario we choose the fixed date offset. But from my experience and from my recommendation, I will suggest always go for dynamic. Reason is it is changeable. Say for example, what happen if any holidays come during that time period? Say on 25th, if there is a Saturday or Sunday or Friday or whatever the holidays, the periods are there in the country that comes. What happen if Christmas is coming? What happen if Eid is coming? What happen if Diwali is coming? What happen if New Year is coming? So we may get skip these dates. So better to define a dynamic offset. Now, if organization is very keen on the reporting part, they doesn't care and follow the religiously on these dates, they can select a fixed date as well. Okay, but always try to use a dynamic so that when we are sending a notification to our HR or when we are automating our alerts and notification, it is going to help us in a more dynamic way and dynamic fashion. Clear? So I hope these two concepts of dynamic offset and fixed dates offsets are clear. If you have still doubt, put in a comment box and I will try to answer it. Then I just explained it to you about the cutoff date, what we mean by the cutoff date. So assume again that I am in the three stage of my payroll and that I am preparing the payroll. preparation part. Second is my processing part. And third stage is my post payroll checks. So when I am doing the preparation, I put a certain date over here that by this particular date, I should have my all my information from my different businesses. Suppose assume that if I am running a payroll for 10,000 employees or 15,000 employees, so it's become very important that we should instruct our HR department that by this date you should provide me all the information. If it is going beyond, then it will be difficult for the payroll manager to run and close the payroll on time, and it may impact your timely deliver of the salary to the employees. Okay, so that's why there is always be a fixed date, and which we call as a cutoff date, which normally happen on a particular date, so 20th or 21st or 19th, whatever the date you organization decided. By this date, if you are providing me the information, no, especially on the non-recurring, then it is going to be processed in the same month. Otherwise, if you are coming with after it, it's going to be get processed in the next month. Okay, if you are not getting information the same month, then what happen, it will move to the next month. We can write a formula as well if we require to move the calculation into the next month if it is coming at a particular date. So that is one of the cutoff date. Second is my processing part. So processing part is that when I am going to run the payroll, when I'm going to run the payroll, so which falls as a part of my processing stages, that I am processing the payroll, so that need to be defined properly so that each and every aspect is clear. Another aspect is the planned submission date. That what does it means? That payroll manager take a decision that by every 22nd I will start and I will put my draft payroll. Okay. So what has happened is that so payroll manager decide that on each 23rd, say for example, on each month of 23rd, I will do the first draft run. Okay. I will do the first draft run. So now this draft run is normally from the planned submission date, that okay, I am having a planning of submission the payroll on this a particular date. So this is another point on the planned submission date. Then comes the payroll run date, that on which date you are actually going to actually you have processing the payroll. So that will be my payroll run date, on which date it is going to be get processed. So normally keep it 27th or 28th of that particular month, and we will see how we can able to achieve on these day automatically or on the from the dynamic offset. Then there is a date earned and date paid. Date earned in the sense that when the employees are earning their wages, so that will be the date that we need to go and calculate it. And the paid date when it get paid from the system. It doesn't mean that it is going to your bank. Maybe I run the calculation and so there are different processes are required. So when I'm running it, when I'm doing the processes, so there are retro processes is there, there are calculate processes there, then there is a prepayment processes there, then there are costing processes there. So those who have not subscribed my channel, subscribe it. I am going to show you how our different processes we are going to run as a part of the payroll as well. So date paid is the date where the date when the employees are getting their salary, and the payslip availability date, which means that I have done all my pre-payroll pre-preparation. I process the payroll successfully. Then I'm reaching out to the post payroll, and then on this particular date, maybe it can be 31st or the last day of that particular month, or it can be beyond next month also. So it depends on the organization when they want to show the payslip to the user. It does not happen like if I'm running a payroll, immediately I run it, it is going to be get visible to the employees. No, there are certain processes that we need to run it by which payslip is going to be get available to the employees. Okay, so these are the some dates which we need to be get arrived when we are defining a payroll. There are other few topics or other few things are there that we have to be keep in mind. One is about the legislation data group, that I have explained it to you, that what is the legislative data group. If you don't know, follow and subscribe my channel. Then in one of the video I will explain you complete concept of the legal entity, what are the legal entities are there, what are the payroll statutory units are there, what are the different taxation reporting, that is a reporting units are there, how all these things are linked to each other for my payroll definition. Okay, this I have already, I'll made a video on this particular topic. Stay tuned for that. So please like and subscribe my channel if you want to learn more about the payroll part. Okay, so one is the LDG and one is the ledger, that there should be a ledger to be defined in the system. Again, I am going to create one video on the ledger part, that how my payroll ledger and my general ledger, which is there in the financial modules, can get linked to each other, and what are the different cost allocation key flex fields are there when we are defining a ledger, and how it going to be get linked with my legal entity. So these all aspects and these concepts are required, so that you should not do any mistake when you are implementing any payroll for the organization. Then there will be a concept on the consolidation group, that how we can able to create a consolidation group, what are the key factors are required, and another is a payment methods. On payment method also I am going to share my views and how we can able to define it, what are the payment sources are there, how this payment sources and legal entities. The main concept is that how these things can be get linked, so that when we are defining a payroll, it should not face any problem. So now whatever we have understand and learned in this particular chapter, let's do it directly in an application. I will show you how we can able to define the payroll. So let me log into the application. So what I did, I log into the application with my username and password, and this is my home page. And this is my home page. Now I can either reach from the navigator from the payroll, and from here I can define my payroll definition. Or what I can do, I can have another navigation from setup and maintenance as well. I can go and reach out for doing go define this, sorry, for defining the payroll definition. So let me show you the easiest way. And sometime what happens, like if you are in the classic UI and on the responsive UI, and if you're implementing, so there are different navigation, different fields will be there. Not the navigation definitely will be there, but there will be a different way of configuring in the both responsive and the classic UI. Oracle is still in the transition phase, and slowly most of the customer, those who are still in the classic, should move to the responsive UI. So for defining the payroll definition, what I will do, I will click on my name. Okay, and from here I will go to setup and maintenance. Okay, I will go to the setup and maintenance part. Let me come back, because this is a responsive, so it will not display it. I'll go back the home page. From here I will click on the setup and maintenance part. Previous screen was not showing it because that was the responsive UI, and certain of these functionalities are not available because of the personalization reason. So when I come on my setup and maintenance part, here you can find it out the basic payroll task or the basic payroll function area. On the right hand side, click on all the tasks. So here you will find all the tasks related to my payroll. Okay, so we are going to define a payroll definition. We will click on the payroll definition, and my page will be get open. If I have already defined a payroll, I can search it from here. Or if I am defining a brand new payroll definition, then I'll click on either from the action, I can click on create, or from this plus icon, I can create a new payroll definition. Select the legislated data group, which means that for which country, and under that country, what is my LDG, which is attached to my legal employer, for which group you are going to create this particular payroll. So I'm going to show you for the UK. So I have selected this legislated data group of GB legislated data group, effective as on date. So in my example, I had chosen that, okay, effective from 31st of August, I want to 1st of August, I want to be implement the payroll, I want to run it. So what I did, I selected 1st of August 2022 as my effective as of date, and I will click on continue. Now these are the things which we should know, that the name, reporting name, consolidation group. I told you that assume that consolidation group is already created in an application. Now why consolidation group is required? Suppose for example, if I am defining two or three payroll in one group. Okay, in one legal employer, if I'm defining a two or three payroll, say for one for temporary staff, one for executive, and one for a normal employees, and we as a part of reporting, we want to club them and we want to single consolidation report. Then for all these three payroll, we choose only one consolidation group. So that is the objective of consolidation. Even when we are running the payroll, at that time we are selecting this consolidation, so all the data related components in my backend table, this group will be get attached. So it will be easy for me to roll up my payroll results. Okay, so that is the usage of the consolidation group. So let me give the payroll name. Say for example, AA monthly payroll. Reporting name I will give as a monthly payroll. I will select the consolidation group which is available in this environment. Period tab I'm going to select as a monthly. As I mentioned it, that there are different period, like if I want to define on a quarterly, normal quarterly happen, weekly or on monthly basis, or a bi-monthly or bi-weekly, that we can define it. For in this example, I am picking up the monthly calendar. LDJ I am not selecting it, but yes, when I will show you the costing part and the cost allocation flex field, then I will create an LDJ and come to the concept. Now LDJ is that the which ledger we are going to map with the financials in the payroll, correct? Then the default payment method, I will choose either cash or the check payment. Okay. So those who don't know that from where we can define the payment method, I'm going to create a one video on this completely. What are the banks are there? What are the bank payments are there? Where we can define the default payment method. So one thing that we have to remember it, the payment method that we are creating it. So we can create different payment method based on the company, like EFT is there, cash is there, check is there. Okay, so to appear the default payment method, we should either choose cash or check for default payment method. Okay. So that means if I am going to pay my salary or whatever is there, so default payment method should always be a cash or a check. If you are selecting an EFT, it will not going to become as a part of a default payment method. We can have a other option like alternative valid payments are there, like EFT we are doing the payment, then we can attach it over. But while selecting a payment method over here, it can be either cash or either a check. Now first period end date, I explained it to you. What does it mean? So we are choosing we have choose a date as a 1st of August, and we are going to run the payroll from the same month. So my last month of that particular date will be 31st of August 2022. Okay, so these are the few decision making point that we have to keep in mind when we are defining the payroll. Then click on the next. Okay, now here we have an option that for how many years we want to go and create a payroll. Okay, I can go and create a payroll for 1 month, 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year. Maximum at a time I can go and define a payroll period only for 10 years. Okay, so there is a limitation that we cannot go beyond 10 years. So we can define only for 10 years. Now, what will happen after 10 years? Also, we can go come back again and increase this number again. So that's not a problem. But at a time when we're defining the payroll, system will allow me create only for the 10 years. So let me select for 3 years. I am going to define a payroll period for the 3 years. Now I have told you that if the dates are fixed, we know it that one on which particular date I want to run the payroll, on which particular date I want to process it, then we can put as a fixed date. When I am selecting it, I can choose okay which date going to be a payroll cutoff date. So for example, if I'm selecting 24th, then every month 24th will be my cutoff date. If I'm in the month of Feb, if I'm in the month of April, if I'm in the month of May, it does not matter. So cut my fixed date means the date will become fixed for that particular month. Date and payroll and date, it all depend the fix. So if I'm selecting say 2nd of September, so if I'm processing a payroll for the month of October, then payslip will be available every 2nd of next month. That is 2nd of November from that particular. So these is a fixed date that we are defining for our payroll. We are giving the instruction that it should be remain fixed throughout my payroll throughout for 3 years. Okay, it depend again, as I say, depend on the company policies that you can choose it whatever the flexible and easy for the organization. If I don't want to go with this flexible date, what option I am having it? I can choose it as a dynamic as well. So if I'm selecting fixed date as a no, it means that it's mean a dynamic offset. In this, we have an option. Now a date type is of calendar. Offset, I am an option of before, after, or on. Okay, and then false. This is a number of days we want to keep it. So for example, this is my period end date. So period end date, what we have selected in this example is 31st of August 2022. Forget the year at this point in time. Just assume that my base period date or base end date is 31st of August. So what I will do, I will select my period end date. So this period end date is of 31st of August. What will be my planned submission date, that on which date I am planning to submit it. Say for example, I want to submit on every 20th or every 25th of the particular month. So what I will do, I will select offset date as 6 days. What does it mean? 31 minus 6. So whatever that date is coming will be my plan submission date. So 31 minus 6 is 25. So 25 of that particular month will be my plan submission date. Now, if we don't want to use this combination, we can use after as well. So I select after and I can choose a period start date. In this scenario, period start date will be 1st of August 2022 or 1st of August itself or 1st of every month. Okay. So if I don't want to choose a base date as a period end date, I can select a period start date. So in this scenario, it will be like after 25th of 24th of that particular days. So this period. So either, so if I'm selecting either before or after, it will not make any sense. So it will make a sense like choosing the date will fall. So if I'm selecting that the period start date fall after 24 days, then it will become a 25th of that particular month. Okay, so let me go and use this same terminology throughout our understanding. So we have selecting the before of 6 dates. So in this scenario, my payroll plan submission date will be 25. What will be my cutoff date? So from the end date, that is 31st of that particular month, how many days before I say I want 21st of every month should be my cutoff date. So I have selected a fall date as second. When the payslip availability will be happen. So assume that I want to distribute the payslip by end of every month. So that is 31st or 30 or 28, 29, depend on the month days. So let's say payslip availability date will be on the same date. So we are not going to change this value. We will keep it as a same it is. What will my payroll run date? It will be the same date. I don't want to change it 27, 28. I am assuming I will keep it same date and the date earned as a same date, which is 31st of every month. So what I had done it, I had defined a different parameters. Same a date earned and date paid. I want to keep it as it, which means my 31st or the end of that particular month. Now, why these parameters are important? Number one, the use case is as an organization, we can create a different alerts or notification, a custom alerts and notification, which we can trigger every month prior to running the payroll. Say every 15th of the month or every 16th of the month, I want to remind my business users that payroll run is coming for this month. Please submit all your data before a particular date. So I can able to find these dates from the application. Okay. So I have selected this particular information. Let me click on the next. So based on the dates which I had given, what system has done, it has generated my period name. See, it has generated my period name. It has generated my days as well. Okay, it has generated my days as well. Okay. So this is how system is going to be get generated on the system date, start date, end date, period date, what is my cutoff dates are there, what is my cutoff dates are there. Something system has picked up wrongly that my period name is coming incorrect. It is taking the somewhere in the month of May. The reason is because when I was showcasing it to you the offset and I had not selected it. So don't do this mistake when you are doing it. You select a particular on a rightly and formally way. So I will go and click on the next. This is the on the payroll accounting part that I will show you in some other video that how we can able to attach it. I'm not covering this in this particular topic. And then next. Okay. So these are my offset date which I have selected based on the payroll end date. These are the periods. We can go and correct them. It's not like I cannot not able to correct them. This is just a change that happened. I can go and correct them manually as well, because this is system has generated it. I don't want to disturb it, but yes, we can directly go and correct these dates. It's system allow to period. So what normally what happen is that this should follow based on the month day. Okay, what I am following, it should follow as a part of the month day. So this normally happen, and why it had happened, because when I was showing you the demo, I have selected the fixed and then offset for example purpose. That's why this system has picked up the wrong date. But whereas my date and cutoff date, my date earned, my payroll end date, my date paid, payslip availability date, and all these dates are derived automatically from the system. This we can go and change it whenever we want, or we can give our own name as well. Like for example, August payroll or September payroll. So that also we can August 2022 payroll. Whatever the name we want to give it, we can change it on the regular basis. Now let me go and submit my payroll definition. Okay. So let us see monthly payroll. Yeah, so this is what the payroll that we have defined, which is effective from this particular date. Now, if I want to change this period, I can go again. I can click on the update, and then I can change this number of years. One more important aspect that I want to explain it to you: allow negative payments. What does it mean? That, for example, if I am running a payroll and for some employees, if my earning is less than a deduction component, then my gross or the net payment will go into the negative. Whether we want to allow system to process the negative salary. If yes, if we want, we can select pick up this checkbox. If not, then if any of the employees having a negative amount in their net pay, system will generate an error for that particular person. So this is how we can able to define and create the payroll. I hope that you have a understanding that if you want to define the payroll, how we can able to define it. Stay tuned, and please do like and subscribe my channel if you like to learn more about the payroll components. I'm going to cover the part on the legal entity. I will going to cover the part on the how the ledger and how this combination going to work. This is little bit complex, and most of us get failed to put a proper setup. So stay tuned, and please do like, share it with your friend, those who doesn't know or those who want to understand it. It's completely free. You learn it and gain the knowledge, get success in your life. Thank you once again for watching it. So I hope that from this particular topic, you now know about the offsets, that what are the different types of offsets are there, how we can able to create a payroll definition, how we can able to create a payroll definition, what are the different types of periods are there, what are different types of dates are there. So if you have any doubts or any queries on the payroll, because payroll is little bit a complex module in terms of understanding, please do write your comments. Okay, and please do subscribe my channel for such videos, and do share it with your friends and colleagues, and as well as please hit on the like button so I know that you are liking my video. Thank you very much for watching my video. See you again.